Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Transport Research and Innovation Grants Support webinar today. I see we have a lot of you joining, and many of you are still joining into the Zoom call. So I'll give you a few more minutes, and whilst everyone joins in, I'll say that we're very excited to be launching this new edition of a long-standing collaborative competition that we've got with the Department of Transport. I'll be joined very shortly by a number of colleagues from both the Connected Places Catapult and the Department of Transport. Whilst we wait again for everyone to join in, I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Giulia Lorenzini, and I'm the Innovation Funding Team Lead at the Connected Places Catapult. In case you haven't come across us before, Connected Places is one of 9 centres in the UK set up to support innovation and growth. Each catapult is set up to tackle different challenges in different markets, and the Connected Places Catapult itself is the UK accelerator for transport and place. So we're going to share a little video in a second, and we're going to start soon after. Thank you.
For millennia, cities have been places where bright ideas spark. From the earliest riverside trading posts that turned into today's sprawling megacities in the digital global economy. Cities can create positive experiences for people, always connected by technology. And when connected places work well, it's good for people and the planet. But making a connected place succeed is hard. There's loads of stakeholders, businesses, regulators, and community groups who want to be involved across every mode of transport, every type of building, the infrastructure that underpins them, and the data and digital platforms that connect them. All of this is needed to help people, communities, neighbourhoods, and local businesses to prosper. Now, more than ever, we need our connected places to succeed. We are in a climate emergency. Rapid urbanisation means 3/4 of us will be living in a city by 2050. And new technologies are revolutionising the way that we live, the way we work, and the way we travel, creating fantastic opportunities for innovation, jobs, and growth. At Connected Places Catapult, we connect people, places, and businesses for a future of sustainable growth and prosperity. We are the UK's innovation accelerator for cities, transport, and place leadership. We are trusted across government, industry, and academia, connecting new technologies, business models, and investment opportunities. So join with us and be better connected for a future of sustainable growth and prosperity.
Hello again, everyone. I see we've got lots of you who have joined us in the last few minutes. We've got over 200 applicants online. So I'll recap briefly for those of you who have joined in the last couple of minutes. My name is Giulia Lorenzini, and I'll be the host for you today. We'd like to welcome you all to the TRIG Application Support webinar, and just give you a brief introduction about what we're about to do today. So before we fully start, I'd like to give you a couple of housekeeping. So throughout the webinar, feel free to drop your questions and comments using the Q&A function that you'll see at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You're more than welcome to drop your questions throughout the webinar, and we'll try and answer as many as possible at the end of today's session. Any question that we can't, due to time, answer online, we will consider and get back to you via email or add to the frequently asked questions document, a copy of which is already available online, but we'll add to that if need be. So we've got a really packed agenda, as you can see online, for today, and I'll be soon joined by colleagues from the Connected Places Catapult and also by the Department for Transport. So just to give you a flavour for what we're going to be doing in the next hour, hour and a half together, I'll give you a very brief introduction to the Transport Research and Innovation grants, and then I'll hand over to Nathan Hertzfield, who you can see online now. Nathan is the Head of Innovation Science, the Head of Innovation at the Science, Innovation and Technology Division at the Department of Transport, who will introduce the TRIG 2023 competitions and the challenges that we've got in store this year. You will then hear from each Department for Transport challenge owner for all the 6 challenges that you can see on the agenda, and understand from themselves what they'd like to see as part of your proposals. And then finally, we'll hear from Ruth, our Innovation Funding Program Manager at the Catapult, who will give you a detailed overview of the application process, a reminder of deadlines, and most importantly, some very useful hints and tips for your application. So listen up for that, and then we'll close with Q&A, as I said. So if we can go to the next slide, just as a brief introduction, especially for those of you who have not heard of the Transport Research Innovation Grants or are new to it. CPC, the Connected Places Catapult, have worked with the Department for Transport for nearly a decade now to support their research and development agenda. And TRIG has been a core part of that activity. As you probably all of you are aware, or will definitely be aware at the end of these sessions, the transport sector as a whole is often dominated by traditional, quite sort of static supply chains. There's lots of complex regulations, lots of standards that needs to be followed, as well as a whole range of technical, operational and procurement challenges and matters. So the DFT recognises these challenges, and TRIG has been set up as the Department for Transport's flagship funding programme that is designed to support the early identification of ideas at the very early stages of the technology readiness level. So we're looking for ideas from technology readiness level 2 to 4, roughly, so that we can support them at the early stages of the journey to market. TRIG allows participants, of course, to work very closely with the Department of Transport, and we recognise these as a USP of this programme. But you'll also be able to work with other innovators within the future cohort and previous cohorts of the programme, but also with industry experts, which will be absolutely fundamental in help you develop a much closer collaboration and develop your proposals addressing specific industry needs. At the Catapult, and also colleagues at the Department for Transport, believe that innovation and collaboration go hand in hand. So one of the other key elements of the programme is to help you maximise the possibility of success by working together amongst yourself and us. As you know, TRIG comes with a nice sort of funding package. This year, we're offering £45,000 per project, which will, of course, enable you to develop your idea and prove or disprove your the feasibility of your idea. However, we are very keen to say that TRIG is not just about the funding. We will support the successful applicants through a number of different mechanisms, such as workshops, sessions with the DFT challenge owners, who you will meet in a second, face-to-face event, networking, and a whole range of other cohort support wraparound service. Ruth will touch on that much more in detail later. The project teams will also gain insight clearly by engaging directly with DFT, like I said, and that will, we believe that will help you understand better what the market wants. So there's a lot in store for those of you who will be able to participate in the programme. And as you know, it's a very competitive process. So without further ado, I am now going to, I see Nathan is online now, so I will introduce Nathan. As I said, he's the Head of Innovation within the Science, Innovation and Technology Division at the Department for Transport, who will give you a brief overview of this year's competition. Over to you, Nathan.
Thank you, Julia. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the launch of this new TRIG cohort for 2023. As already been stated, it's run for many years, and I really want to emphasise that it is a collaboration. It's a collaboration between TRIG successful winners within DFT and CPC, and also collaboration within SciTech. So Science, Innovation, Technology, shortened to SciTech, is a division within DFT that sits underneath the Chief Scientific Advisor, Professor Sarah Sharples. And the idea is that we are constantly looking for opportunity to innovate within the transport ecosystem, and TRIG really offers that at the kind of grassroots level. So I won't talk for too long because I can see we're a little behind time, and I want to give as much time as possible to the challenge owners because that's ultimately the reason we're all here, to hear what's on offer this year. But I'm going to quickly run through them. This year we've got 6 offers of challenges. We've got the open call, which is being headed up by Seth, who is in my team. Unfortunately, Seth is struggling to get back from his trip to Holland. So Abby will be stepping in from my team as well to take that presentation. And just while I'm there, Seth is also the SciTech lead for TRIG. So you will see lots of correspondence from Seth, and he will be at all of the Coffee Connects and other events that happen throughout the process. We've got local transport decarb, which is headed up by Ellen, and you'll meet her later. Airport decarbonisation, which is headed up by Matthew Payne and Joe Delafield from the aviation teams. We've got Future of Freight, headed up by Daryl Ogbertham. We've got Connectivity and AI and Digital Twins, which is headed up by Alex Mundell from SciTech, and also Michaela from SciTech as well, with some support from our Digital Twins team from George Colomaides. And then last but by no means least, we have Maritime Decarbonisation headed up by Kate Drury from the UK Shore team. So we've got a real eclectic mix of challenges on offer. I'm really looking forward to hearing where we go with those and what applications we get through. The last thing I really want to emphasise is that it is a collaboration. So there is an expectation for full participation within all the activities that occur, but also really developing a really strong relationship with the policy areas. Typically within government, we are not experts in the policy area we work. So we rely on the expertise from the market through TRIG to be able to help us make effective policy decisions. So it's kind of a two-way path that you help us and we can help you. So I think it's time to hand over to our first challenge, which is open call, and Abby Swain from SciTech.
Thanks, Nathan. Welcome, everybody. I'm Abby, and as Nathan said, I work with him in the Science, Innovation and Technology Directorate, and we're sponsoring the Open Call Challenge this year. As with previous years, we've reopened this challenge, and the idea is we want to seek innovative ideas that have the potential to address UK transport challenges across all modes and technology areas. And really, this allows or gives the opportunity to those ideas which don't necessarily fit into the scope of other challenges, and ensures that no innovative transport idea misses out on that potential funding opportunity. We in SciTech don't sit in a specific mode, and we work across DFT, working on science, innovation and technology challenges. And therefore, what's important to us is we'd really like to see innovations that have the potential to address DFT strategic aims, which include reducing the environmental impacts of transport, improving transport for the user, and then growing and leveling up the economy. More details of this are actually available within the TRIG guidance document on the CPC website. We can just go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. So what we've got on screen here are a few examples of the Open Call Challenge from last year. So these are past TRIG programs or projects. And I think this range of examples, I'm not going to go through them individually, but I think you can see there's quite a breadth of solutions that we're sponsoring through the Open Call Challenge. And as I said, the idea is to improve transport and speak to those DFT aims. I've got a link at the bottom of the screen there, and that's a link to the DFT areas of research interest, which were released last year or this year. And that actually might be a good place to go and spark some ideas. Additionally, if you want to go and look at any past projects from TRIG, you can actually search TRIG on gov.uk, and all projects across all challenges will show up from 2014. So quite a short one from me, but if you do feel like you have an idea that will improve transport and doesn't fit into one of these other predefined challenges, please let us know about it and still apply to TRIG through that open call category. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Ellen with the Local Transport Decarbonisation Challenge. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Abby. Hi all, I'm Ellen Cumber. I work in the place-based decarbonisation team here at DFT, and we are really delighted to be back again with another local transport decarbonisation TRIG call this year. It's great to see so many of you on the call, and hopefully that means we're going to get lots of great applications. So yeah, really looking forward to kind of telling you about what the local transport decarbonisation call is, and a bit of a flavour about what we're looking for. So as I'm sure most of you, or if not all of you on the call will be aware, transport is the largest emitting sector of greenhouse gases in the UK and accounted for around 26% of carbon dioxide emissions in 2021. In the Transport Decarbonisation Plan that we published back in 2021, we set out how a place-based approach will help to make our villages, towns and cities greener, cleaner, healthier and more prosperous places to live, work and enjoy. So kind of through that context, local areas will have a really key role to play in reaching net zero by 2050, especially in the transport sector. And we recognise not only the collective importance of that, but also the unique challenges and opportunities that will be faced along the way in individual areas. So why we're funding the local transport decarbonisation call is we understand that innovative approaches will really help to unlock some of these challenges and also the opportunities in local areas. And we've definitely seen that through the TRIG call that we funded last year. The innovative approaches that we're looking for will also have the potential to be scaled up and adopted more widely across the country. And we are looking for projects as well that may also have other co-benefits. So that might include things like improvements to air quality or better connected communities as well. If we can move on to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you very much. So yeah, as Abby kind of said, I won't go through all of these because that would be very boring. But this is to kind of give you a bit of a sense of what kind of potential project themes are included within the scope. That can also be found in the TRIG scope document. And the scope document sets out things that are out of scope as well. So do have a look at those when you're drafting your application. I wanted to add some context to kind of these themes here by talking about a couple of the projects that we funded last year, which is by no means a kind of exhaustive list, but hopefully will give a useful bit of flavour and a bit of context to some of the projects that have been successful before. So we funded last year the development of a societal readiness assessment dashboard for transport decarbonisation innovations with Lancaster Uni and the University of Arts London. So the dashboard meant that users will receive their societal readiness level result, which is similar to a TRL, but for societal readiness instead, combined with some recommendations for activities to increase the societal readiness of their innovation. And this project actually ended up winning one of the DFT Chief Scientific Advisor Awards for outstanding project delivery, which was really great to see. Another project that we funded last year was Slingshot Solutions and their Rapid Digital Twin, which is a unique digital solution enabling planners to use a data and science-based approach to kind of assess, prioritise and accelerate local transport decarbonisation interventions. This project actually came to commercialisation through the process last year, which was a really amazing achievement. And it was great for us to kind of see it come from the inception and the start, right at the beginning of the application stage, all the way through to being a physical product that people can use and was having real benefits. And then finally, I just wanted to mention quickly the Iona Drones project that we funded, which delivered a feasibility study exploring the challenges related to autonomous parcel dispatch for delivering cargo drones. So kind of very innovative, very up and coming, very cool. And that developed a computer prototype design as well. And that specifically looked at some of the challenges faced in rural areas and how drones may be useful there and may help to overcome those challenges. So hopefully that gives you a kind of bit of a sense that we're looking for a real range of different innovative solutions. And that, like I said, by no means an exhaustive list. Hopefully we'll just give you a little bit of a flavour. So happy to answer any kind of questions that you may have at the end. Please do put them in the chat or the Q&A. And we really look forward to receiving your applications. Thanks very much. And I will now hand over to Matthew Payne.
Thanks, Helen. So my name is Matthew Payne, and I'm a policy advisor in the Aviation Decarbonisation Division at the Department for Transport. And I'm here today to talk about the Airport Decarbonisation Challenge. I'll just add now as well that Joe Delafield, our Deputy Head of the division, is also on the call as well, and we'll both be around at the end to answer any questions that you may have. So firstly, I'll just give some background on why we're funding this and more about our team in DFT and what we do. So everyone on the call today will know the challenge that decarbonising aviation brings, and the government's net zero strategy published in 2021 shows aviation to be one of the UK's largest residual emitting sectors in 2050. The UK has one of the most ambitious climate change targets in the world and commitments to make it 3/4 of the way to reaching net zero by 2050 in the 6th carbon budget period. So it's vital we can work with the aviation sector now to enable significant changes in the coming decades to reduce emissions. So that's why in July of last year, we published the Jet Zero strategy, which sets out the government's vision for decarbonising aviation with the sector, focusing on the rapid development of technologies in a way that maintains the benefits of air travel, whilst maximising the opportunities that decarbonisation can bring for the UK. So our team coordinates the delivery of the strategy to achieve net zero UK aviation by 2050. And this also includes negotiating on behalf of the UK in international negotiations on aviation and climate change, and the commissioning of research through the Jet Zero R&D budget. Our team has a coordinating role, ensuring collaborative work takes place across government to implement all measures of the Jet Zero strategy, which include the deployment of sustainable aviation fuels, zero-emission flight technologies, continued efficiencies from the aviation system, removals and market-based measures, influencing consumers and addressing non-CO2. Jointly with the Department for Business and Trade and the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, we also convened the Jet Zero Council, which is an industry government forum with two objectives. Firstly, to deliver at least 10% sustainable aviation fuel in the UK fuel mix by 2030, and also zero emission transatlantic flight within a generation. So the next slide, please. So what is this TRIG challenge all about? Airports will have a key role to play in enabling the continued testing, development, and eventual commercialization of zero-emission flight. Zero-emission aircraft are emerging with a range of hydrogen aircraft development and test programs underway globally. And in addition, certified all-electric pilot training aircraft are already in use. And with technological advances in the coming years and decades, we will see significant improvements in range and passenger carrying capability of these aircraft. Our Jet Zero strategy high ambition scenario expects that zero emission flight will account for 4% of CO2 abatement and 27% of air traffic movement by 2050. So our airports need to have the ground infrastructure in place to support this. Alongside that, airport operations themselves contribute 5% to total UK aviation emissions. This doesn't sound like much, but it does represent a significant amount of emissions and is an area where technological solutions to decarbonise can exist now and in the short to medium term. So this challenge calls to develop both the technologies and the evidence base available to progress the delivery of two policy commitments. Firstly, to support airports develop the ground infrastructure necessary to handle zero-emission aircraft, and our ambition for all airport ground operations in England to be zero emission by 2040. Finding innovative solutions that can be scaled up will be crucial to ensure we can deliver on these policy commitments. And one of the outcomes we're looking for here is to enable the development of technologies to facilitate innovators putting forward credible proposals for larger follow-on investment from private and public sector sources. We're providing £450,000 to fund up to 10 projects for this airport decarbonisation challenge for grants worth up to £45,000 each. So what sort of projects are we particularly interested in? So of course, the more detailed specification can be found on the TRIG webpage, but we're interested in projects that deliver work focused on the decarbonisation of airport ground operations, can demonstrate the development of zero carbon emission technology suitable for deployment in airside environments, can enable the handling of hydrogen or battery electric aircraft, can enable the safe handling of hydrogen in airside environments, can develop the evidence base of future hydrogen demand at UK airports, and crucially are focused on the civil commercial air transport sector. So finally, we're looking forward to seeing your solutions and your applications, and myself and Joe will be around at the end to answer any questions that you may have. And I will now hand over to Daryl.
Hi all. Apologies, I was trying to get to the button in time. I'm Daryl Oberfin, Team Lead for Freight Research and Development in the Future of Freight team. We're involved in TRIG this year to support the Future of Freight Challenge. Next slide, please. So a bit of background context here. Future of Freight Plan generally is a response to the National Infrastructure Commission. Generally, we're looking to raise the status of freight in the UK with a particular focus on multimodality. Some might call it intermodality, intramodality, whatever suits you best. Essentially looking at all modes of travel as it relates to freight. Recent events have sort of further highlighted the importance of freight, whether it be Brexit, the Suez Canal crisis, COVID, current affairs, and even more important is achieving what we set out as the 5 vision statements of the Future of Freight Plan on screen and what they are. So it's to achieve a freight sector that is cost effective, reliable, resilient, environmentally sustainable, and valued by society. We see freight as an important contributor to the government's aim, in particular DFT. So that is to grow and level up the economy, reducing environmental impacts, improving transport for the user. And one of our strategic objectives that we sort of highlighted in the Future of Freight Plan is that there is a general lack of awareness, should I say, about innovative solutions and how that can feed into our sort of policy considerations and what we want to do in this space. Insert TRIG. So next slide, please. So I would encourage you all to read the Future of Freight Plan. It covers a number of priorities. Just wanted to flag that all priorities are within the scope, so all but people in skills generally, just because it's hard to try and kind of articulate the innovation that we would want to do as it relates to the vision statements. So we are looking at sustainability focused innovations, a couple examples of what that might look like there. So solutions could be innovation, principally anchored in innovation, but we will focus on data and technology because we have particular interest in the Freight Innovation Fund also. So we're looking at that full spectrum engagement with freight, efficiency and resilience-based solutions. So generally things that intersect with the energy infrastructure, things that further enhance the UK's freight network or lack thereof, solutions that enable planning, generally solutions that either achieve net zero emissions reductions or zero emissions in its totality will be within scope. Wanted to highlight again the importance of early stage innovation in this space, so generally TRL 1 to 4. Beyond that would be out of scope. So I would encourage you all to read the grant specification scope and again the Future of Freight Plan. I will hand over to Alex who will talk about the connectivity and digital twins challenge. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Daryl. So I'm Alex. I'm the head of AI here at the Department for Transport, and together with Michaela Nelson, who is the head of Future Telecoms and Digital Connectivity, who's also on the call today and can help answer questions, and George Economides, who is our head of Digital Twins. We've put together this challenge combining our 3 technologies, so AI, connectivity, and digital twins. I sit within the emerging technologies team, so we look after the technologies with the largest opportunities and risks for the department and try to maximize these opportunities whilst minimizing the risks. And we really look after these kind of new innovative technologies that are coming forth at really significant speeds. And I think we can see that quite clearly with AI, the speed at which some of these technologies are evolving. and the impacts that this will have across the whole transport sector. So this is a new area for TRIG, and we really see this kind of tech convergence of these three technologies being very important for transport as a whole, and we see a lot of innovation that can happen at the convergence of these three technologies. If we go to the next slide, please. So we're looking at, we can have within this, within these TRIG projects, ideally we'd have all three of these technologies being used, but we're happy with using any two of these three. We really see these technologies working hand in hand, and we believe that together these technologies can offer real benefit. And so we really want to see them working together to have innovative solutions. So we want connectivity to move the data, AI to process this data on the back end and provide real insight, and then together this digital twin where information flows back and forward between the physical and digital environment. It's also important to note that we are entirely mode agnostic here. Projects could be in any of the modes of transport: rail, aviation, road, maritime, or could be cross-modal. This could be more focused on the system or on infrastructure or logistics. We don't, as I say, we're mode agnostic. We don't mind where it is. We just want to see that real impact. And as with the open call, we'd really like to see projects that improve transport for all and address DfT's strategic aims. And we've been through DfT's strategic aims already multiple times on this call, so I won't go through them again, and these can be found online. But essentially anything that makes transport cheaper, greener, more resilient, more efficient, we'd really love to see any projects that do that. And then the other thing to note is that we really want to see real data being used to drive solutions. So we don't want to see any paper-based studies, that's not in scope, and more detailed specification can be found on the TRIG website, and happy to take any questions later. I'll pass over to Kate, who is the head of UK Shore R&D, to talk about the maritime decarbonisation challenge.
Thanks, Alex, and good morning, everyone. Great to see so many of you on the call today. As Alex just said, I am Kate Drury, and I am the head of R&D projects in the UK Shipping Office for Reducing Emissions, which is otherwise known as UK Shore. UK Shore is a programme in the Department of Transport focused on accelerating the technology necessary to decarbonise our domestic maritime sector. So, as others have said, already flagged the challenges of transport and decarbonisation, but for maritime in particular, this is a real challenge. In 2021, UK domestic shipping alone emitted more greenhouse gases than buses and rail combined, and without further intervention, those greenhouse gas emissions are only going to continue to increase out until 2050. Which is one of the reasons for the UK Shore programme. And the overall aim of our UK Shore programme is to fund various interventions across the full range of the technology readiness scale, or the TRL scale, to create a pipeline of innovation and support clean maritime solutions towards commercialisation and market readiness. And TRIG really feeds the start of that innovation pipeline, which is why the UK Shore programme is funding the Maritime Decarbonisation Call again this year. We funded a really successful round last year in TRIG 2022, where we funded 13 maritime decarbonisation projects. So really delighted to be challenge sponsor again this year. If we can have the next slide, please. So as others have said, the detailed scope is obviously online, so please do go on there and read the specification in detail. But I just wanted to summarise and highlight some of the key points of what we're looking for this year. So in summary, we are looking for any projects that are focused on clean maritime solutions to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by our maritime sector, as set out in the 2019 Clean Maritime Plan, and support the transition to net zero. So the Clean Maritime Plan is currently being refreshed and is due to be published shortly, but I recommend that if you're interested, you go and have a look at the 2019 one, which is currently online, to see sort of our plans and our roadmap for the sector to decarbonise. If you were involved last year, you'll know that the Maritime Decarbonisation Call was a little bit more prescriptive on the scope, but this year we have intentionally kept it quite open. So not an exhaustive list at all, but your project could focus on low and zero emission fuels, energy sources and vessel technologies, or the associated landside infrastructure or energy efficiency solutions, energy efficiency measures needed to facilitate the uptake of those fuels, energy sources and vessels. Or your project could look at smart shipping technologies, automation or AI that deliver indirect emission savings. Overall, your projects must have an innovative aspect, but that includes existing products being used in an innovative way outside of their original intended use. Last year in TRIG 22, we had a really broad range of projects that included wind assist technologies, hydrokinetic power generation for small ports and marinas, hydrogen generation on buoys for open sea refuelling, and a decision support tool to enable UK ports to decide the most efficient and effective way for them to transition towards green energy, as well as lots of other technologies beside that. So if you have any project idea at all that is innovative and will help to support the decarbonisation of our maritime sector, I am very keen to hear about it. So please do apply, and I really look forward to seeing all the applications that come in. That's everything from me. Thank you. I will hand back over to Julia.
Thank you very much, Kate, and everyone else who presented their challenge. By all means, keep your questions flowing in as we go through. I'd like now to introduce Ruth Markman, who has been the TRIG 2022 program lead and will be the program lead for the TRIG 2023. And Ruth is the Innovation Funding Program Manager at the Connected Places Catapult. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you very much. Everybody can hear me. My internet connection is not the best, so hopefully it won't cut down whilst I'm speaking. Next slide, please. Brilliant, thank you. So what is TRIG has been covered slightly. So what I'm going to do in this slide is give you details of what TRIG is, why you should apply to TRIG, and really can you apply to TRIG. So Innovation Funding Programme, which is delivered by CPC. It provides funding where there are little other alternatives. Your innovation may be too early for angel investors and banks are unwilling to lend. Friends and family may have done all they can, and this is where TRIG really fits in. It helps to provide proof of concept where it's difficult to gain alternative funding. It aims to de-risk the development of novel technology may not otherwise get off the ground and get them to proof of concept stage. The funding is up to up to £45,000. Now, this does not mean that projects cannot be greater than £45,000. And if your project is greater than £45,000, please do apply. We can only provide funding up to, but we like to be part of larger project, but please don't feel that you're excluded if your project is more than 45,000. We can only fund up to 45,000. We provide 100% match funding. It is not 100% match funding, it's 100% funding, not match funded, unlike many other grant funded programs in the UK. So you will get the £45,000 own funding. Failure is an acceptable word in TRIG. TRIG allows innovators to succeed or fail fast. What we mean by this is that the concepts are such early stage that you don't know whether they will be able to be proven or not. We had some projects within TRIG 2022 that they started off down one path, but something could not happen. They could not test their feasibility the way that they thought. Something did not work in their assumptions. That is not a failure, that is a learning. They were unable to prove the concept that they set out to prove, but they learned something else along the way. And that is one of the beautiful concepts of TRIG. The main benefit is not the funding. I know you all love £45,000, but the real benefits of TRIG are the collaboration that you get by working with your DFT policy leads. We'll do regular collaboration with them. The benefit is also that you get CPC business support, so you'll work with my business to see whether we can connect or signpost you to any organizations that can help you progress your innovation towards commercialization or to help your business succeed. You'll also get regular workshops on topics that are very relevant to the cohort. And you will have constant support from CPC and DFT whilst you're on the programme. What we do, TRIG 21 and earlier, is that at the end of the programme, people say it wasn't the money that was the main benefit. It was all the interactions that they had with all the industry partners, with the DFT especially, and with CPC to help them further their innovations down the TRL line towards commercialization. So can you apply? You must be a UK registered, that you are registered at Companies House. So if you are an overseas organisation, we would expect that you would have a UK registered office. If you are a university, of course you can apply, but we would expect that you are a permanent contractor at a university and not a PhD, because a PhD is not on the books of a university. So if you are a PhD looking to you go through the department that you are doing your PhD in, and for them to apply on your behalf. Can a business be an organisation of any size? Yes. So we welcome all applications, whether you are an SME, whether you are a local authority, academia, third-party organisation, not-for-profit organisation, and large organisations. I will point out, though, if you are a large to do on your application is prove to us the reasoning for you coming to use government money for funding or innovation where you are not using your in-house funds as well. We actively welcome collaborations between academia, business and consortiums, but these are not mandatory. We've had a number of questions already in this webinar to say, is it mandatory that you have of collaborations between academia and business? It shows that there's different things. You can get different things out of collaborations. We had a number of those in TRIG 22. We had a number of large consortiums in TRIG 22. So we actively welcome them, but they are definitely not mandatory. And if you are coming as a consortium, we would recommend that one lead organisation, we have to have one lead organisation, does the application, and then between the other parties in the consortium, you have an agreement amongst yourselves as to how the funding is going to be distributed. So TRIG is a early stage funding program. So we would expect your innovations to be TRL level 2 with the aim to progress to TRL level 4. If you have already proved your concept and you are on down the path towards commercialization, TRIG is not the project for you. We are looking for very early stage innovation. TRIG is, so the £45,000 funding is 60% upfront. So we will give you 60% of the award of your budget. So you'll only get what your budget is, 60% of what your budget is. We will award that upfront at the beginning of the programme. We will then award the final 40% of the grant at the end of the programme when all of the final documentation, all the and that we will then say to you, yes, you can have the 40%. There is quite a bit of paperwork to do at the end, but it's not time consuming in any way, sense or form as many other grant programs. And we will work with you to help you release that 40%. What I would say, and I have put this on all my slides, is please refer to the guidance documentation that is on the CPC website opportunity page for TRIG, because this detail you need to know about applying for the TRIG program. Next slide, please. So the competition timeline, this is the most important one for you, the deadline. You need to have submitted your application by 23:59 on the 27th of November 2023. Late applications will not be accepted.
We lost you there, Ruth.
You lost me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so if you can go back to late application will not be accepted. That's when we lost you.
Sorry. I might have
That's
been
okay.
saying my internet's unstable. Apologies. So late be accepted. So today's webinar, the recording will be available, and we will also share the slides to you as well. So please don't worry about taking masses of notes today. Everything will be available. Now, we appreciate that there's a lot of information to take on board today. And we have therefore we are providing 2 drop-in sessions to help you get your application ready towards submission. One on the 15th of November. This one will be only for if you have any financial or budget questions. So on the 15th of November, we're doing a drop-in session for finance and budget. And on the 16th of November, completing your application if you have any general application questions that we haven't answered. The QR code on the screen there will take you to an event create page whereby you'll be able to click on and register for either of those drop-in sessions for you. Okay, next slide, please. So this is to show you what the evaluation process will be. So you will have submitted your application, I'll just reiterate, by 23:59 on the 27th of November 2023, and no late submissions will be accepted. So in December and January, we will go through all those applications. If you are obviously not eligible, then your application will not proceed. Eligible, then your application will be reviewed and assessed by qualified assessors within the Connected Places Catapult and the DFT. And in February 2024, if you have made it through to interview stage, you will be notified as such of an interview date. Those of you who are not successful in getting to interview stage, email advising you that you have been unfortunately unsuccessful, and we do not provide specific feedback to all of those applications, because we always get, last year we got 243 applications. We think we'll probably get quite a similar amount this year. However, we do not wish to just put you to the side. So if you do want feedback once you have received your unsuccessful, we will send you some feedback from the assessment stage. So in February 2024, there will be a number of interviews. Just to be absolutely transparent, we're expecting to do around 60 to 65 interviews for the 40 awards that we are expecting to give this year. That gives you an idea of what process we go through. And then before the cohort will be selected. This has been done through, so you'll have been assessed through your application. You will have gone through to interview with the DFT. We will then have done a decision conference, and the final decision for who goes on the cohort is through the Chief Scientific Advisor, Sarah Sharples, from the Department for Transport. So our evaluation process is very robust. We have a full due diligence, and you will be advised where you are up to in that process. So please don't chase us. We do know where you are up to in the process. If you don't hear from us though by March 24, then please do so. Talk to us, but we will be keeping you up to date throughout this whole process. Next slide, please. So as we said, the benefit of TRIG is not just the £45,000 that is available. There is so much more to it. If you are successful part of the TRIG 2023 cohort, this just gives you a flavour of what you will get on the programme. So at the beginning of the programme, which will be April 2024, we will announce your cohort. You will have had to have provided us some information up to that point. The project will start. We will have a kick-off meeting so that you will be fully aware of what will be going on throughout the 6 months of the programme. And we will start doing our business needs analysis for etc., and research needs analysis for any academics that have been successful in gaining an award on TRIG 23. This is where the support starts. It's not a very hands-on program. We do expect you and let you to go off and do everything that you want to do with your project, but we do expect you to check in with us once a month. So the once a month, we have what is called a coffee connector and a workshop. This is your opportunity, important information for updates on the projects, valuable workshops on topics that are of interest to the cohort, and also to connect with your DFT policy leads. They will be in each of these coffee connectors that we will host virtually. These happen every month. There are different things that happen throughout the month, throughout the 6 months of the program, but these coffee connectors will happen every month. You will know in advance the date these coffee connectors. We will also expect, and it is mandatory, to do your monthly reporting, so we know where you are with your budgets and we know where everything is. And there will be 2 face-to-face events that we would expect that you would attend. And one of the questions online was, do we allow for budgets for attending events? We're recommending that you put a line in for other costs up to £500, depending on where you are in the United Kingdom, so that you can event and the showcase event, where you'll be able to showcase the outcomes of your projects wherever we will be hosting that. So this just gives you a flavour of what we offer and what we expect you to undertake. Next slide, please. Said before, please read the supporting documentation. A lot of time and effort has gone into these, so please, please, please click on the link, read them, inwardly digest them before submitting. The more you have read the guidance, the terms and conditions, the grant specification, the more you will be able to understand what is needed for a very successful application on TRIG 23. Now, all applications must be completed online. We do not accept any other way of submitting an application. Now, we do have on our website a Word document that is all the questions that are in that application form, with the ability for you to complete this offline and then copy and paste it online. We found that last year that was a very useful document to have, so we have done it again. It enables you to think about what you want to do rather than completing it in the live document. If you do have any accessibility challenges, please do let us know. Can you please let play tomorrow if you do need us to help with your application, if you have any accessibility challenges that you would like our support with. I am not a technical person, and even though we have the DFT policy leads reviewing your applications, please, 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 can you explain your solution in layman's terms and avoid jargon? When you are writing your application, if you're very technical in your understanding of your innovation, somebody reading it might not understand it if it is not in layman's terms. So I would stress that please make your application wording accessible for all, I suppose is how I would put it. And please stick to the word counts. We have put those word counts in place for a reason, to enable everybody to have a fair what your project is about. It's fairness for all, and it also means that if we have 240 applications to review, those word counts are very important for everybody to understand. We do not allow appendices either, because these can get very large, and it doesn't really add anything to the application. So if you're unable to put it into the word count, then I would recommend reviewing how you're expressing your innovation to us. Please. So what do we expect when we say we're, creating a good application? So there are 5 areas in the application that you really do need to think about and be clear in how you present your information. So the first one is the challenge. Please describe it aligns to the Department for Transport strategic aims. There is a link to the strategic aims in the guidance notes, and I have also put them here to enable you to understand what they are and what it is that you are hoping to achieve. So on the solution, you need to clearly address how your solution addresses the challenge and how it's going to show us how novel or innovative your solution is. We're not expecting like groundbreaking blue sky thinking here. We do also accept novel applications of existing technology that have maybe not been used in transport before. So you need to show us and tell us how novel your solution is, and also how your solution incorporates EDI. So equality, diversity and inclusivity, these are really important elements to the Department for Transport. So it's really important that you show us how your solution incorporates the whole of society in your innovation. So the innovation, again, clearly describe what is innovative about your product, service, technology, research. The application guidance really does give a very good in-depth understanding of what that section means. It's all about innovation. Tell us exactly what's innovative, what's going to get our attention on your innovation. Impact, really important. Clearly show the impact of your solution, whether it be societal impact, economic impact. What benefit to UK PLC will this innovation of yours provide? Also show us what are the desired outcomes. What do you expect to achieve? Ensure, again, it meets the Department for Transport strategic aims. So commercialization. Be clear about your intended market and the opportunities within this. So how you need to describe to us in your plans how, I know this is very early stage, how is your innovation going to get to commercialization? What we don't really wish to see is an innovation that stops. You've only thought through the process to TRL4, or you've only thought through the process to proof of concept. What we would like to see is you've thought through your innovation that actually I've taken it all the way through to commercialization, and this is how I see it going to market and benefiting UK PLC. Next slide, please. So we do require a Gantt chart to be submitted with each application. So you need to provide confidence to us that the project be completed effectively, efficiently, and on time. And that is what the Gantt chart will show us, that you have thought through your milestones, you've thought through your risks, and you have thought how you are going to deliver April and September 2024. One of the things
you interrupted a little bit. Can you
Sorry.
start
Yes.
over?
It does say that my internet is unstable. So I'll start again on project management. You need to provide a Gantt chart that provides us confidence that the project can be completed effectively, efficiently, and on time. We want you to show to us that you have thought clearly that you can deliver your project between April 2024 and end of September 2024, and what you are going to achieve in each of those months. What's really important is that you need to have assessed the risks of your project and make it clear to us. And what we did find in TRIG 2022, we had to ask a lot of questions in the interviews on this, is how are your risks mitigated? Think about if something happens that is off plan, what you're going to do about it. So we need to clearly articulate the deliverables, the milestones, the risks and the mitigations. So a number of questions that have come in today are also about, consortium, collaborations, who's in the team. Tell us everything about who is in your team and what skills and value they provide to your project. Project budget, please read sections 2.33 to 2.40 in the application guidance documents. This gives a lot of information of what should go into your budget. So you can £100,000 of direct costs. As mentioned earlier, we welcome larger projects, but we don't expect them to be larger. If they are larger projects, then please detail how much extra the project cost is and who will be funding that extra element. Again, we expect you to attend the 2 events that I've mentioned, and a number of questions again have come up on this. We would recommend that you put up to £500 in your budget and accommodation and expenses to get to these events. They really are worth your while attending, so please put something in the budget that will cover these. If you don't put anything in, we won't be able to cover it. You can subcontract the work in your project. Now, there's a number of things I want to cover about this. We would expect only a maximum of 50% can be covered by non-UK subcontractors. So please thinking that you're going to use a overseas company to do 100% of the work, because it won't be accepted. Also, if you are an SME and then you are saying you've got the idea, but you want to subcontract 100% of it, we would also question that, because we'd say, what value are you adding to the project? Why wouldn't the subcontract all the work? So if you are thinking of subcontracting, we want you to be very, very, very clear on why you are subcontracting, and be mindful of the maximum of 50% of that of the budget can only go overseas. So the overarching criteria for your budget is, and this is what we will assess both within CPC and the Department for Transport, is, does your budget present value for money to the Department for Transport to achieve their strategic aims? Please remember that this is government funded money. This is, money that UK PLC provides for this grant. So it has to be clear to us what benefit your project has in terms of value for money. Next slide, please. And I know I sound like a record player gone wrong, but here's a screenshot of the CPC website, the documentation that I strongly recommend you read before submitting an application. Everything is in there. As Julia has mentioned, any sort of questions that have come up today, will be updating the FAQs after today's webinar, so they will be updated on an ongoing basis. But everything is in there. And to the one person that rightly pointed out that our scoring criteria misses a page for innovation, we will also be putting that in. Thank you very much. I know there are lots and lots of questions, so we will be moving on to the questions and answer session.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ruth, and everyone else. So we've got about 25 minutes for Q&A. And first thing first, I'd like to invite all panelists to turn their camera on and maybe stay on mute for now. And as you're called, you can unmute yourself and answer the question. I think, Kat, we can probably remove the slides. Perfect. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to start with a couple of questions for the DFT challenge owners, and I'm coming to the airport challenge. So Matt and Joe, I believe, are online. I can see Matt. So the first question is, will the DFT bring airport partners into the program, or do applicants need to establish those relationships independently prior to application? Who would like to take that?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that one. I think they would need to have that relationship if their work required that activity at an airport. However, I think that I can say that DFT and the CPC can help with the convening of airports with the dissemination of any results.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. And if I stay with you, there's another question around challenge 3. Would project to decarbonize airport operation for existing aircraft will be able to qualify?
For decarbonizing airport operations for existing aircraft?
Operations for existing aircraft, yes.
Yes.
Other than hydrogen aircraft operation, for example.
That would qualify.
Perfect. Thank you. It was an anonymous attendee, so I don't know who asked that question, but hopefully that has answered what you asked. Now, if I come to you, Ellen, thank you. I see you've answered online already, but the question, in case it could be useful for everyone else, the solutions mentioned in local transport decarbonisation seems very technology focused, but the introduction was around place-based and localized development. Does the innovation need to be tech focused rather than exploring new models? If you can give us your view on that.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, so I mentioned in the Q&A section already, but the projects I mentioned were just to give a bit of a flavour. By no means the kind of absolutely exhaustive list. So I'd just say to refer back to the scope document, which kind of sets out we're looking to support SMEs, industry, academia, to access research and development support for innovative proof of concept projects. So that could include those kind of technologies, but it could also include, so for example, supporting communities to choose greener transport choices. So we had a mobility hubs project last year, which was kind of very focused on that, very similar, and that focused at a university campus. And we've also funded things around cycles, e-cycles, and zero emission coaches as well. So it kind of doesn't necessarily have to be technology focused. The only things which are out of scope are things which don't demonstrate the ability or the potential to be scaled up in a local area. They don't have the potential to deliver carbon reductions, or they only focus on data collection. So yeah, hopefully that provides a bit of reassurance, and absolutely looking forward to kind of receiving applications from a wide range.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm coming to you, Daryl, next. Regarding the freight challenge, a project that is able to detect and predict vehicle emissions on lorries or vans to understand the main cause of traffic and emissions and provide a clean plan for reduction. Would you consider that in scope?
We would.
Okay. Short and sweet. Thank you. And I'm coming now to either you, Nathan, or you, Abby. The question is TRIG funding likely to continue next year and have a similar process?
I'll take that. So within government, we can never guarantee anything outside of the period that we're currently working. I'm not sure if you're familiar with how it works. Within the civil service, effectively, we have to apply for each round of funding for ministers and then get approval based on that. So we really, so we don't tend to commit to anything outside and above what's been announced. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. And then a question for the connectivity, digital twin and AI team. So Alex and Michaela. I saw Michaela has already answered briefly. The question is, are projects looking at application of 5G or 6G in enclosed areas such as train station of interest to this challenge? Michaela, we can't hear you. Not quite sure why. Okay, let's try again. Perfect. We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so I would be interested in that as long as it is combined with AI or digital twins. We're not interested in just improving connectivity. It has to be in combination with either AI or digital twins, or both ideally.
Would you like to add anything, Alex?
No, I think that's a perfectly good explanation. We're looking at that tech convergence, so we want at least two of those technologies to be included in any solutions. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. And then I'm coming back to Abby and or Nathan. Shout out who would like to take this one. Would a project that is looking, but also actually open to all challenge owners, would a project that is looking at technology innovation to make existing transport infrastructure more resilient, for example, retrofitting technology or reuse and modular construction, be in scope?
Yeah, I could take this. Yes, if it doesn't fit into any one of the other challenges, then it would be considered within open call, as long as you can kind of align it to those DFT strategic aims that are set out in the scope document.
And I'm coming to you, Kate, since it's to do with decarbonisation. And Ellen, would you like to add anything to that? So looking at technology that make existing transport infrastructure more resilient. Any thoughts or further comments on that?
From me, from the maritime decarb side, obviously resilience is great, but you need to clearly demonstrate how the project itself is reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So not just about resilience and adaptations of climate change, but actually about helping us to decarbonise the sector. So it needs to demonstrate how it would reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But that can be on existing infrastructure retrofitting. It doesn't have to be new technologies.
Thank you, Kate. Alex?
So I can come in on that as well. So exactly what Kate has said. Resilience is one of our vision statements for the future of freight plan. So if you can demonstrate how that links into the freight infrastructure, also happy for one to come into our space.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Kate.
no, I don't have anything to add on top of what Kate said around, just things that are out of scope are things that don't have the potential to deliver carbon reductions. So worth bearing in mind.
Brilliant. Thank you all. I may come back to you in a little while, but I'm jumping to you, Ruth, if that's okay, for a few. So grouping together a couple on the same themes. So are applications from consortia preferred? And what evidence should be provided that partners are on board? Do we need a written quote from them or anything else?
I think I've answered many of those already in the chat. We welcome consortia and collaborations between academia and business, but they are not mandatory. We are very happy to receive applications from individual SMEs and individual organisations. If you are applying as a consortium, then we would require one party in that consortium a TRIG application, and we would expect therefore between yourselves to understand that there be a collaboration agreement or how you're going to distribute any of the funds between the partners that are in that consortium. So we would expect one lead and then for you to create an understanding amongst the consortia parties as to how you're going to distribute both the workload and the funding.
Thank you, Ruth. And in terms of evidence, a couple I saw have asked for, do we require evidence? On the application form, we do not require evidence. You don't need to provide evidence as part of the application online form. However, during the interview or during the process, we may ask for those evidence. So
we would ask for you to detail who your consortium partners are.
Absolutely.
So that is important, to detail who they are rather than evidence that you already have a collaboration.
Perfect. So I'll take the opportunity to now introduce Nick Woodward, who is another CPC colleague. Nick, I'll let you maybe introduce yourself briefly for the benefit of the webinar.
Yeah, so I'm Nick Woodward. I'm an academic engagement manager at the Catapult. So whereas my colleague Ruth deals with mainly industry partners, I focus on universities and research organisations.
Perfect. Now, coming back to you, Ruth and Nick, it was covered during the presentation, but just in case it wasn't maybe picked up, a question from a PhD candidate, and they're asking whether they can apply as an individual or whether they should apply via their university department. Ruth?
Hopefully, I did cover that in my presentation, but I'm going to let Nick more smoothly than me. I'm going to let you answer that one.
Yeah, so I think what our understanding of that is that we would expect the university to employ a member of staff, or that member of staff to be eligible to apply under the university. Where that's not the case, there wouldn't be a problem with setting up a business if a student was interested in them potentially creating an SME and going down that route. So there's a couple of options open there, but if you need to, I'm happy to take that one offline and discuss with you.
Thank you both. Now, there are a couple of questions, some of which between Ruth and I have answered. All the presentation from today and the recording will be shared. So the answer is yes to all those questions. A couple of people have been asked whether non-for-profit organizations and local council, local authorities can submit an application. Again, the answer is yes. We've got a few of those that have been answered to already. questions around TRLs. Now, as Ruth mentioned, the TRL that we're aiming to that we're aiming for TRIG is between TRL level 2 going all the way up to TRL level 4. So that's the answer to all TRL level questions. However, there is one which I'd like to maybe pass on to you, Nathan and Abby, if you don't mind. So someone is asking whether they can apply for some specific subsystem of their innovation which may have a lower TRL. They may have done some field trials for their core innovation, but some of the subsystem may be at a lower TRL level. Would you see them as applicable for these applications?
Yeah, yes, would be the answer to that. And I think that goes across most of the challenges. It's quite normal within industry for different subsystems to have different development programs, and if one of them is kind of fits within the scope of this TRIG call, then yeah, we would happily accept that.
Perfect. Coming back to you, Ruth, for again grouping a few similar ones together, can we help, and how can we help various organizations finding partners if requested?
Please be mindful of the time frame between now and when your application. If you are looking for partners, for example, university partners to be able to collaborate with, please let us know. We cannot guarantee that we are able to find you a partner between now and when the application closes, but there will be future rounds of TRIG funding that will be announced in the coming years. So if you do want to find a collaborative partner, find one for this TRIG, there will be others, but please contact us.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ruth. Now, answering a couple of budget-related questions, all projects across all the challenges will receive up to £45,000. There isn't any difference. I see someone asked, is there a different budget for freight or other challenges? All the challenges will receive, or all successful projects within all challenges will receive the same amount of money.
Can I add to that? I think that question is please read the grant specification document and the guidance to tell you how much overall funding there is available. And in the grant specification document, it will tell you how many projects are going to be funded under each of the challenge leads, including Future of Freight.
And if I can stay with you, Ruth, maybe a very brief answer to this one. Does the successful applicant get help towards further investment? Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back.
Yeah, you can hear me. As part of the ongoing business support that we provide to all the cohort on TRIG, helping with finance and the ability to gain finance is one of those aspects that's very, very key to us. We cannot guarantee we'll help you find, we'll get you funding, but we will help. We have an investment manager who is part of TRIG 2023 and will help projects that need to help find funding. We'll help you along the path to try and find investors. We will also make sure that you are aware of any opportunities that come to light during the project. A number of the TRIG 2022 cohort was successfully found further grant funding through lots of different grant projects that came to light during the program duration. So basically, we cannot guarantee we will find you future finance, but we are very clear that that is an important aspect for many of the projects on the cohort.
Perfect. And this one allows us to dovetail nicely into another question, which is actually open to all our DFT challenge owners. Someone would like to understand what level of support will be offered from the DFT. So maybe if you want to take that in turn and sort of articulate how you are planning to support it.
I'll answer that bit first. As I mentioned in the presentation, every month we have what is called a coffee connector and networking event. This is a virtual event that we would expect each of the cohort participants to attend. Your DFT challenge leads will be attending those events, and it is an opportunity for you to engage with over to any of the DFT challenge leads that would like to add anything more to that.
Yeah, I'm happy to come in.
Thank you, Ellen.
So yeah, last year, so some of the ways that we provided support were linking projects up with kind of the right policy leads within DFT and kind of facilitating conversations, and kind of really helping them to understand what the policy framework is and what kind of future things might be in the pipeline. So that was kind of one of the really good things. As Ruth also mentioned, the coffee connectors were great. We were kind of able to set a bit of a challenge and have some really useful discussions during the coffee connectors. But I think we're quite open to what support would be useful, kind of within the scope of things that we have control over. And if there's anything that people think would be useful and they're successful on TRIG, then we are happy to try and help facilitate as best we can.
Anyone else who would like to add to that? No? Okay, in which case, if you're successful, you shall see. There are a couple of questions around how many proposals can one organization submit. So if I group them together, Ruth, again, brief answer to that one, grouping them together, the question is, can a company apply for multiple challenges with separate ideas, or put one idea across different challenges?
That question is, you are not precluded, you're not restricted from doing as many applications as you like. What I have said to many of those that have asked the question in the chat already, please think clearly about which challenge area your innovation would best fit. Where are the greatest benefits going to fit? If it is multimodal and if it challenge areas, please think about where it fits. As I said, there's no restriction. You can put a project into each of the challenge areas, but the other thing to be very, very mindful of is the number of awards that we are granting this year. So there are 40 awards that are going to be granted, and the grant specification document details how many per challenge area. So please think about the time involved in doing applications into each different challenge area. If you have a business and you have something that, for example, would absolutely fit into future of freight, and a different innovation that fits into the AI connectivity and digital twins, please put them into both. But please be mindful that there are only 40 awards that will be awarded. So think very clearly, carefully and clearly as to where you want to put the effort in putting.
We lost you at the end, but I think the message was clear. You can put multiple applications towards multiple challenge, but clearly be mindful that there are only 40 awards. Now, a question for the DFT challenge owners. Would any of you be able to provide real data, anonymized data, to develop or test a solution? Shall I come to Alex and Michaela first, maybe, and then we hear from someone else?
So most of the data that DFT holds is already openly accessible and out there. So I don't think we'd provide any specific data sets that have to be found elsewhere or already openly available. Michaela, is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think, unless the data is already openly available, I don't think that there would be time within the scope of this project to actually get new data and make it so that because we couldn't just, the DFT would have to make that openly available to everyone. So I think actually doing that would take longer than the scope of the project. So we would need to use data that's already openly available. So the BOSS Open Data Service is probably a really good place to start for looking for open data.
Okay, and anyone else?
Yeah, I'll add to that. We did have a number of questions from TRIG 22, about this. What we have said to everybody is that we would expect that you are applying to TRIG knowing where you are going to get your data from. TRIG is not a program to help you find data that you would not otherwise find elsewhere, as my DFT colleagues have rightly pointed out. Openly available is out there. And we are not able to provide you with any proprietary data for the completion of your TRIG project.
Any other DFT colleagues who would like to comment on that? No? Okay. In which case, I'll stay with you, Ruth. A few questions around, can the project start earlier?
No. No, because there is a involved and you are unable to submit any expenses or receipts or time that can be included within your £45,000 grant before the start date of the project, which would be the 1st of April 2024. Similarly, you cannot submit an expense or anything post 30th
Sorry,
of
we lost you there,
September.
Ruth.
You can't submit anything post September 2024. So no, you're unable, unfortunately, to start early nor finish late.
There is a question for the AI connectivity policy leads. Digital twins depend on HD location data, which is a geospatial commission responsibility. When there is crossover between multiple government departments, how does this work practically?
I'm afraid the best person to answer that question would be George, who is our head of digital twins, who isn't on the call. But happy to pass that question over to George and come back offline.
So if Richard Miller, who asked that question, if you can email us at trig@cp.catapult.org.uk, we can pass it on to George afterwards. I'll stay with you. Sorry, lots of questions for AI and connectivity. Someone else is asking, would technology related to railway condition monitoring using AI fall within the scope of this call?
Again, it would fall in the scope as long as it also combined either connectivity or digital twins in order to do that. Just AI on its own isn't enough to fall in this. We want to see that tech convergence.
Yeah, so it would need to use real data and be, sort of collecting that in real time, I think. But if it was doing, if it was real data being collected in real time and doing something clever with it with AI, then it would definitely be in scope.
Perfect, thank you. A few people, I'm coming back to you, Ruth. I've answered a few questions quickly online, but if we maybe answer it on the webinar. Is a risk register required and mitigation measure should be included within the project management section or any other section of the application?
I missed the first part of that. I cut out, sorry.
So is a risk register and or mitigation measures associated to them, should they be included within any section of the program? Note, I did answer yes in some of my answers, so please don't say no.
I'm going to say yes. However, we're out. I did cut out. Yeah, I did. I saw that one. We're unable to add any appendices. So I think one of the questions says that their risk register is too big to put into the word count. And can they attach it? Unfortunately, you can't attach it. Just please be sort of put a small amount saying we have a full risk register that is available should we want to see it. And we have covered all our risks. Maybe highlight the
Have we lost you again?
No, I'm finished.
Oh, okay, perfect. I can see there are, conscious of time, there's 1 minute to go. There are a couple of questions about budget. So we do have a drop-in session. Ruth, can you maybe remind everyone of the date?
Yes. So the QR code was on the presentation. The presentations will all be sent out to you afterwards. The drop-in session for budgets and finance is on the 15th of November at 10 a.m. please register through the QR code. The drop-in session for any other general application queries is on the 16th of November at 10 a.m. also. The one QR code will cover both of those drop-in sessions. Just please, when you go into that event invitation, please just click on whichever ones you would wish to register for.
Perfect. And on that note, as I said at the beginning, we will endeavour to answer all the questions in writing, either via email or as part of our FAQ. There are quite a number still in there, so we'll try and do that as soon as possible. In the meantime, if you do have any further questions, contact us at the TRIG email that you will find on the slides and on the web address, on the web page, apologies. So I will just bring us to a close now, and thank you very much to all our DFT policy leads. Yes, Ruth?
Nathan has his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Nathan. Didn't spot that.
No, not at all. Many thanks to all those on the call who've added DFT colleagues on LinkedIn asking questions about TRIG. In terms of neutrality, we aren't allowed to answer those directly. Because we are also involved in the interview panels for the final actual grants. So please do direct any questions to CPC, who can then handle those. We can't afford to have any lack of transparency. So huge apologies if my colleagues do not respond to you. But yeah, thank you for your interest.
That's a good point. If you have any questions to do with the scope, first of all, we cannot confirm that we will be able to answer any specific questions, as Nathan said. But if you do have any, please send them to us, and we will discuss them with the DFT colleagues if possible, and get back to you. On that note, thank you very much again to everyone who attended, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Thank you.